Thanks. All right. So it's been this is the fourth week we're going to be working on.
Thanks. All right.
Oh,
So it's been
you don't need to repeat everything I
this is
say,
the
man.
fourth week we're going to be working on.
Okay. Let's try again. This is the fourth week we're going to be working on our Gothic Horror game. We don't have a title for it. It started as an idea of mashing together Konami's Castlevania with the Curse of Strahd adventure, and then I decided I wanted to do something completely unique and sort of go in my own direction with it. So that's kind of where we're at. We've worked on sort of fleshing out the overall theme of the world and what's going on. We've dealt with the different races in the world and a little bit of the culture of those races. Now we need to start fleshing out the world a bit more. So, all right, let's see. I have some books open. They're 5th edition books, so they might not be the richest and most resource heavy things that we could look at. For example, Eberron is this big, beautiful, amazing world, and their book is mostly build options for characters. And then it talks about one city. Now, admittedly, this one city is pretty damn cool. I own the source book from 3rd edition for Sharn, City of Towers. The source book is like that thick for one city, but they gave it one chapter here, so I guess that's cool. Everything else just sort of gets like a little bit of a footnote. This is very similar to Faerun having the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide and most of that, which is build options, and then they sort of mention, oh yeah, here's the Sword Coast. And then you have to secretly buy Storm King's Thunder to get like the rest of the campaign book for the Sword Coast. It's very weird. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think that we could definitely create as much lore as any of these 5th edition books are providing pretty easily. I've got the Curse of Strahd here. Mostly it's an adventure, but there is this beginning part where it talks about the lands of Barovia. So, you know, kind of get an idea of what's going on there, keeping it real loose, I guess. They talk about how magic is impacted by the demiplane, lore, and then, you know, they start to flesh out some of the cultures that are there. And, you know, Ravnica is actually pretty solid. I would say that, you know, it's a lot of build options again, but the thing about Ravnica is it's like an entire world that's a city, so we're just in another Sharn situation, honestly. So, I don't know. And then Theros. I felt like Theros tried really hard to be, I don't know, the best campaign sourcebook in 5th edition, as far as trying really hard to kind of define itself well. And you can kind of see that because this is it for characters, right? You get a little bit at the front, and then almost everything else in here is stuff that helps define the world, which is different than Eberron, which is so much character customization options, and I don't know. Right, and then Curse of Strahd, which isn't technically a source book, it's supposed to be an adventure. I would say that Curse of Strahd, we'd put that in the same category as Odyssey of the Dragonlords, where it's mostly an adventure / campaign, but it also needs to tell you about the world that you're in. I'd almost say that, like, Odyssey of the Dragonlord does a better job than Curse of Strahd, at least of world building a little bit. Possibly because D&D knows that if you really care about the lore of this world, you have like 40 years of stuff that you could go to DM's Guild and purchase. Not to mention Wikipedias, videos, video games, books, novels, and all that stuff. So, anyways, I was kind of browsing through all these guys, trying to get a better idea for what we should be looking at to better define our world. There are 2 approaches when you are world building. You can take a microscopic approach, and you could take a macroscopic. That's probably a word. Basically, are you looking down at the whole thing at once? Or are you looking at a small part of the world and building out from there? Now, normally, when I run like a homebrew game, I will do microscopic view, and we will start in the town, period, right? So there's the quest hub, everybody hangs out, you get quests, you go out into the world, you do stuff. Yeah. Um, Macro is a lot bigger of a commitment, right? Because you have to look at the whole world and make decisions about the whole world up front. Yeah. There is sort of a middle ground. And the middle ground is you define all the areas that you want to hit in your campaign, and that is like the known world. And then outside of that, you leave for expansion. So a good example of this is Odyssey of the Dragonlords. There's the main continent of Thylea, and then there's a bunch of islands surrounding Thylea, and then they leave it sort of nebulous, like what is beyond the seas, what is beyond the ocean. My personal take is that it's a demi-plane, similar to Ravenloft. People get in and they can't get out. But other people have speculated that across the oceans there is an Egyptian area and there is a Norse area and all these other cultural areas to go and explore alongside the Greek one. So that's kind of cool. And that's sort of the middle ground. Like, you're defining the world, but you're also not committing to being like, this is it. This is everything there is. So I kind of feel like that middle ground between micro and macros is where we should probably be at, because this isn't like a setting that we're going to publish and be like, hey, you could run your own adventures here. I'm building this world to run the game that I want to run, and then that's it. So I really only need to define those areas where the adventure is going to take place. So that's where I think we need to be at for this. So let's go back through and remind ourselves of these essentially 4 rulers, these dread lords, and what sort of influence they would have on the world. All right. So we've got this super paladin. So that's the thing. We've got a hag. We have a Frankenstein-esque creature. And then we have a vampire slash succubus situation. All right. So coming all the way down here to the 4 realms. All right. There's actually going to be 5 of them. So there will be the contested lands. And this is the area overlapping the 4 realms. Sort of a Midgard situation. This is where many conflicts and battles play out, and the people forced to live here are simply trying to survive the constant battles and hardships. All right. So, yeah, these contested lands, I kind of get this feeling that, I don't know. I mean, flavor-wise, I'm thinking like War-Torn, Weary. But at the same time, this contested land has to have something that the others want, right? Something that they, because they're trying to expand, right? And they're trying to deal with their opposition. So this is sort of a crossroads. And then there are going to be factions within this area that take advantage of the situation. So you're going to have these sort of neutral factions. So arms dealers, mercenaries, spies. Yeah. Now, I like the idea here that this is a tough place to live. Let's see, tough, stoic. All right, so like even the basic bitch peasants are strong and adaptable. Let's see. Morals take a back seat to opportunism and survival. Man, this music mix said this was chill Bloodborne music to study to. I don't know. Is everything in Bloodborne this intense? This music's a little intense. Maybe it'll calm down on the next track. All right. Let's see. So I'm kind of digging the feel of the contested lands. Within the contested lands, I am kind of feeling like the colors brown, a lot of browns. Maybe some. Browns is really what kind of rust, grays. Yeah, I like that. All right, so we'll come back to contested lands, but I'm digging what we've got on contested lands so far. Let me try and increase the size of this font a little bit so it's easier for everyone to read. There we go. Oh, that's definitely bigger. Okay. Let's see. Down, 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 down. I think I'm going to change out the music. This is too intense for me. Alright, hold on. Let's just go with the old standby we were listening to last week. There we go. Okay. Alright, less distracting. So the next realm that we need to deal with is the Succubus controlled domain. We don't have a name for the Succubus controlled domain yet. We don't even have like a cultural flavor or anything. Speaking of which, we've got colors, but what's like cultural inspo? Would probably be something along the lines of classic Transylvanian peasants? Or are we looking for something a bit more... If Thieves Guild was a culture? Let's see. Kind of liking that a little bit. Which reminds me of a place from Forgotten Realms that would probably be a pretty good source. Let's see. Got to go to Adventure. Storm King's Thunder. Secretly a source book. And we want to go to Yartar. So Yartar is a merchant city, and it's very Thieves Guild oriented. It's prosperous, it's crowded, but there's always a lot going on, and the people are very like shrewd. They're very business savvy. They're always looking for opportunities. So I like that. Hey, what's up, man? So Yartar from Sword Coast. Okay. All right. So the Succubus controlled domain, it's really hard to like try to make a Gothic horror game and not make the vampire area just completely cliched vampire area. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone loves that trope. Everybody wants that trope. And if you didn't deliver that trope, you would be sort of missing that opportunity. It's obviously a big hit because we've been stuck on it since, you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you know? So it's like, that's what people are expecting, that's what people want. Is it possible to step away from that and still capture that same feel? Is one of the things we're going to have to figure out here. All right, so classic vampire. Yeah, yeah. You know, like, I feel like something a bit more flash, you know? Well, exactly. Yeah, the Vampire the Masquerade clans, uh, that is how they broke from that tradition. Like, there's one clan, that is primarily like what you expect from vampires. And then there's also the Nosferatu clan, which is what you expect from monstrous vampires. But beyond that, they really start to take on a lot of flavor and go in a lot of different directions. Um, yeah. I just, as much as I enjoyed Shadowlands in WoW, I don't want Vampire Land to literally look like Vampire Land theme park, which is what Revendreth is. Revendreth is, if vampires made a theme park, if there was a theme park for vampires, that would be Revendreth. And it's adorable, and it was very cute, but, I mean, there was nothing spooky at all about it. I mean, it's WoW, I guess there's never anything spooky about it. But I referred to it, as I was playing through it, as Vampire Land. Like, I half expected the little gremlin dudes to be selling, like, t-shirts and balloons and shit like that. And I don't know. It was too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they knocked the jar of vampire spice off the shelf, and it fell into the Revendreth pot, and they were just like, ah, well. Vampire academics. So that's an interesting thing. Anime vampires, a big thing that they do with them is they're around for so long that they obviously know a lot of shit, right? It's a common trope that like vampires are rich, right? Because they keep all the money from the people they kill. They have charm powers, so they charm rich people. They live a long time, so they can invest properly, and get that sweet investment back and live to enjoy it. I mean, there's, you know, like, there's not really poor vampires, right? You don't really hear about poor vampires. I mean, we're not going to talk about the vampires from, say, Supernatural, because they're like trailer trash vampires. But like, when you think about vampires, they are almost always wealthy. But one of the things that like Castlevania and Vampire Hunter D and a couple others, they take the idea that not only are you alive for a long time so you could get rich, but you're alive for a long time so you could get smart. Um, yeah, so I kind of like the idea that maybe these people are very well educated. They're very into knowledge and the power of knowledge. Um, like they consider like owning an amazing library to be more impressive than a vault full of treasure, sort of thing. They want stories. They want to control stories. I really like that idea. So, all right. So let's see. They are, what is the term? Bibliophiles, right? That's where you're really into books. Okay. Let's see. Hoard and broker knowledge and stories. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Among non-vampire pets, they favor artists, writers, composers, essentially prey that carries the power of influence. I guess I just said that they like to support influencers. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, that's good. Illuminati, but vampires. So as a culture, they realized that anyone can hoard and seize and gather wealth. But the truly powerful control history, knowledge, truth. I'm kind of into these vampires. I like that. Okay. We will come back to that for sure. Yeah. The Tremere, exactly. Blood magic. They were like the core clan casters, if I'm remembering correctly, the Tremere. There were some other clans that were, I guess, better casters at different types of magic, but like in the player's handbook, you have like the core races, and then in the other books, you had the other races you could play as. That was the same thing. Like you had the core clans, and then there were all these extra clans that they threw in there. Maybe to sell some extra books. I don't know. Anyways, all right. As a culture, they realize that anyone can hoard and seize and gather wealth, but the truly powerful control history, knowledge, and truth. I like it. So what is the aesthetic we're looking for? Like, what is the cultural influence? I'm kind of digging... I mean, obviously, like, anything Victorian is good. Renaissance would be good. Renaissance would be pretty fun, actually. Renaissance... Mediterranean... Oh my god. Look away as I destroy all languages. There we go. Thank you, Google. I mean, it's pretty classic vampire to have tea parties and royal balls and all that kind of stuff. Buddhist is pretty dope, honestly, but I don't know if there'd be like some blowback from doing like an evil Buddhist culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tricky nowadays because a long time ago when you did world building, and even like Matt Colville's videos, right? If you watch his world building videos, it's like, yeah, like take a real world culture and like take another real world culture and like mash them together into something new, and like that's world building. But there is a lot nowadays of like, is that the best way to do it? Is that respectful of existing cultures to essentially farm those cultures into your new ideas and stuff like that? I'll be honest, it's quite a challenge to completely make up something new without being influenced by anything that exists. But an example here is within Curse of Strahd, you had the Vistani, who are based on like real world culture that people use the term gypsy to describe, which is a slur, and it's always been like that since they designed the game, and they included it in the first print of Curse of Strahd, and then they went back and they updated it to be a bit more respectful towards the source material or whatever. Yeah, so it's one of those things that you just got to be careful about when you're building a world, that you're doing so in like a respectful way. You wouldn't know that like looking at just about any fantasy world, because you can clearly see when you look at a fantasy world like what cultures influenced this decision or that decision for the world. Yeah. I don't know. I like the idea of definitely if they value. Here's the thing: if they value knowledge, I feel like they're obviously going to have firearms, which we've established is probably going to be a thing in the setting. So they're going to have firearms. And they like magic, so they're probably going to have a bit of like high elven, you know, blood elven kind of vibes to them. I like the whole Renaissance Mediterranean feel that they are indulging the arts and indulging in the arts quite a bit. I almost kind of want to take a little bit of like Athens, Greece and throw it in there. With some, you know, some of the more like indulgent behaviors. Let's see. Hungry for knowledge and philosophy. And honestly, among High Elven and Blood Elven fantasy culture, right? Those are also ideals that they have as well. Let's see. Obsession with magic. Danger of being consumed by magic. Okay. Let's see. Advanced sciences. So things like indoor plumbing. Which, honestly, a lot of the stuff that you think is really like modern inventions, a lot of cultures had for like a really, really long time. Like elevators have been around since, you know, like the BC time period. It's crazy. All right. Yeah. I'm digging this one. This has a really good feel to it so far. I really like where this is going so far. All right. So let's jump over to the other side of the fence. Well, I don't feel like at any point they're saying that money is bad. I think they're saying that money is easy mode. Do you know what I mean? Because they realized, where is it? As a culture, they realized that anyone can hoard and seize and gather wealth, right? So it's not saying that they don't like wealth. I mean, we could clarify. They are wealthy. You know, but they value knowledge more than wealth. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, they're vampires. It's going to be impossible for them to not be rich. Oh, for sure, for sure. Ooh, yeah. I mean, because we have to add some horror elements to this. So, let's see. Slaves. Obviously, vampires. They're gonna have slaves. They might call them thralls, and they might call them chattel. I think is the word that we might be looking for here. Among this population, only those of remarkable talent are spared. The maimed, well, not so much the maimed, but those deemed unexceptional are viewed only as livestock. So not a great place to live unless you're like a bard or artificer or something like that. I mean, then you're going to have a great life. Which is interesting because that kind of goes with the whole embrace the darkness individuals. And this, of course, leads to dampiers from time to time. Okay. Nice. All right. So going over to the other side of the fence, we've got this Justin fellow. All right. So Justin's whole deal is that he is, good. Period. But these are good in the burning witches kind of way, right? So, but these aren't like burning witches good Salem vibes. So we're at no Salem vibes, no Puritan vibes, no colonial American vibes. We've got enough of that in Paradiseville. All right. So, how do you define a culture that considers themselves to be, I don't know, the last bastion of good in a world consumed by evil? Knight of the Round vibes. Kind of digging that. But with like a more Victorian Renaissance feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Like if the Knights of the Round used guns and shit in addition to their armor. So almost sort of like Witcher meets Bloodborne meets Knights. It's actually a pretty cool aesthetic. All right, let's see. Witcher meets Bloodborne meets Knights of the Round. Alright, kind of into that. So this has sort of a classic D&D feel, but with the addition of firearms, which, once those things are out on the loose, everybody's going to get into that shit. Let's see. Very Belmont culture. Very Monster Hunter culture. Okay. Possess a confident surety that what they do is right and just. Right. Yeah. Zealous in the destruction of evil. Oh, yeah. This is big, yeah. Biggest pop of Fight the Darkness. Okay. Let's see. This can sort of lead to leads to some xenophobia, obviously. Let's see. Monsters, aka any non-human race, are tolerated only after proving themselves. Okay. Now, I'm going to point out here how absolutely horrifying, like, Monster Hunter culture is. Alright? There's a Penny Arcade Monster Hunter comic that I think sums it up really well. Penny Arcade, Monster Hunter armor. Monster Hunter armor comic? Can never find this one when I need it. Basically, the little birdo with the rock, it sees a hunter, it goes up to meet the hunter, and then in the next scene, like, the hunter's wearing the skin of the monster as armor. Like, it's basically that dark and grim. That's the thing. Like, they yeah, the lives of monsters have no more value than beasts. Okay. Essentially, a werewolf is worse than a wolf in many ways. They could also try to control the people by keeping them ignorant in their kingdom. Ooh, okay, okay. So, going off of that xenophobia thing, let's see. Where do we put that? Leads to xenophobia. Okay. My massive stone walls, inlaid with silver and iron runes, surround many of the cities within Justin's realm. Most of the basic bitch humans live in propaganda-controlled ignorance regarding the lives of the other realms. Kind of some Attack on Titan shit right there, you know? Where, like, they're just told that, like, everything outside of the city, everything outside of our realm is darkness. Kind of deal. I dig it. I like the idea that, let's see, in this realm, daylight lasts longer than others. For this reason, it is often avoided by vampire kind. Alright. In truth, all non-humans bear a great deal of hatred and fear towards Justin's realm. Oh, I like that too. Like the sun kind of goes, ooh, yeah, like the sun kind of goes like north to south almost, or maybe it goes east to west, but like because these two realms are opposite of each other, they get the the barest amount of each kind of thing, or none. That's a really cool idea. Let's see. All right, so let's do, yeah, let's do that. So most of the sane people are actually kept in the prison, while the rest of the people that agree with them are out in the kingdom. I kind of dig that too. I don't know if it's necessarily sane, but anyone, humans included, who speak out against the crusade against the darkness are imprisoned and normally executed. Or made examples of. Yeah, there we go. In this realm, daylight lasts longer than other realms. So only between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Does the sun not shine upon these lands. Okay. Stands opposite the vampire realm. I'm digging that. Okay. All right. So, 2 more to go that we're going to try to roughly flesh out here. So, all right. We've got the construct, and then we also have the fae, the woodlands, essentially. So what I was thinking, and I was talking to my kid about this because she's got a lot of great ideas. Was I mentioned that we were discussing like the werewolves would be Thor, and then the were-rats would be Loki, kind of deal. I kind of want to go in that direction a little bit, you know, like Gothic horror, Norse mythology, maybe. So the settlements are smaller and spread out. Frequent raids against each other and neighboring realms. Okay. Let's see. Because so much of the land remains unsettled, many powerful and dangerous beasts roam the hills, forests, and mountains. All right. Let's see. Terrain has a very Skyrim Nord feel to it. Okay. Now, do we fight the temptation to give the Hag Queen like a mobile fortress? I mean, because, you know, that'd be super dope, but I don't know. Right, yeah, less like the Alaska thing and more like they get 6 hours of night and the other people get 6 hours of day. Like, just enough time to wish it didn't happen kind of deal. And remind them of what they're fighting against. Yeah. I like the idea of definitely having the Fey realm be much more savage. Compared to the others. But in this savagery... Nope, that's not right. Is there E? Sweet. But in this savagery comes a great strength. Okay. Alright. Digging that. Let's see. Dislike visitors to the realm, but at the same time, appreciate new prey to hunt. And in some cases, new slaves Alright. Okay, population is lichens, Fey, and blood caps. Or sorry, not blood caps, red caps, excuse me. Okay. Any humans living here are either slaves or have proven their strength and resilience over and over again. Maybe have the Hag Fortress be on a mountain of souls and corpses that carry it. Oh, that's hype. That's really hype. like a bunch of like arms, like instead of legs, like just like she like collects arms. Oh shit. What if like that's her favorite thing to ask for when you try to get favors from her is like her arm, or your arm, and then that just gets added to her collection. That'd be pretty messed up. Let's see. Hag's fortress hut is of course extra dimensional and mobile. This mobility matches the nature of the realm. Okay. Yeah, that actually sounds really cool. Kind of into that. Let's see. Colors would be slate and greens. Forest. Greens and browns. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't do colors for this one. Colors would be white and silver and gold. Maybe orange. Oof, so tacky. All right. All right. So, despite having, I think, the least amount of details, I almost feel like this one kind of just defines itself a little bit. Yeah. Let's see. Here's an idea. What if the hut is the shell of a massive snail? The snail is formed of thousands of corpses. That's really disgusting. The shell is crafted of countless bones. Oh man, I'm into that shit. Ugh. All right. All right, I'm digging that. So let's see, and then we've got the constructs. All right. What could we do with the constructs realm without going like full artificer? I guess we could like patch artificer for this and bring it back. I don't know. I feel like in a game where you've got a lot of, you know, sort of like Victorian era feel, like it becomes like a pretty tempting thing, flavor wise, obviously, but gameplay wise, we would either have to like boost everything else up to be on par with them, or, you know, tone them down a little bit, essentially. But it wouldn't be a terrible fit for the setting. It's just we'd have to boost everything else up or tone them down a little bit, which I haven't really wanted to do. Let's see. Or everyone could just, you know, reskin to be like steampunk without needing to. Ooh, I like that. Meat market. There you go. All right. Oh shit. You know what? You know, BioShock, right? When they got into splicing and stuff like that. What if we had that sort of vibe to it? So 1920s Bioshock splicer culture. Yeah. Essentially, you know, no need for gods. Man and science and the arcane are our gods. Flesh is our canvas. Economy is very much meat market capitalism. This is probably the most terrifying realm, and we're only like 4 bullets in. All right. So gore, steampunk. Okay. Flesh is our canvas. Economy. All right. So then colors. Let's see. Brass and bronze. Let's see. Sludge. Umbers. Russets. The colors of drying and spoiled blood. Yeah. The more robotic you are, the more you will be feared and respected. And the flesh, you are then prey to collect and sell. Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of digging it. Okay, so steampunk, cyborg vibes. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's rough. Okay. Let's see. Constant need for self-augmentation and experimentation. Drive a market for living flesh. Let's see. This is a dangerous realm for all races. Okay. Let's see. Look at all Eberron and Fan Eberron augments and upgrade sources. Yeah, I mean, and again, that's like, if you haven't listened to the audiobook for BioShock, it's really really good. It kind of covers like a world without censorship, without any limits to capitalism, kind of deal. Like what could it be like? What could happen? And yeah, stuff like this splicer culture of just no one tells us that we can't do this, so we will. And there's no FDA to be like, hey, there's side effects here. This is driving people crazy. It's like you can't tell me not to make it because it's a free market. Was always kind of brought up all the time. All right. Man, the place kind of, just thinking about it, this is going to be a very, very scary, very, very scary place to be. Okay, we should also put delicate line between maintaining your own identity and self-awareness and losing yourself to the technology. which sort of mirrors the issues the vampires have with magic in general. All right. Yeah. Okay. For a good example of, let's say, an example of fantasy 1920s, you can look at Korra, the Avatar or whatever, because that whole setting was like their D&D setting, but then they advanced the timeline, and then they were like, it's the 1920s. We got cars and everything. Ah, it's amazing. And of course, they're all powered by magic, but they still have them. So that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. All right. I dig it. So those are the 5 different areas of the game, and we have a pretty good idea of how they lay out with each other. And we have a pretty good idea of what they value and what they look like. To take it further, we'd want to figure out how they interact with each other. So let's cover that. Let's see. Politics between realms. All right. There we go. All right. So, we'll put Justin to vampires. Okay. And just in the vampires, it's pretty obvious they, Okay. Justin feels vampires' knowledge is an exceptional threat. The info and secrets held by the vampires must be found, and if needed, destroyed. Yeah. So I want to say that they, yeah. Okay. We'll leave it at that for now. Alright, so, Justin to constructs. And basically, these demons long ago abandoned their humanity. Okay. They are irredeemable. Oh my god. Irredeemable. Wow. Let's see. They are irredeemable, and let's see. And their culture threatens to spread like a disease. Alright. Let's see. Justin to Faye. Okay. This is a realm of monsters. The humans living here long ago turned their backs on the light but could still be redeemed. Amongst the beastmen, lichens, there are individuals of exceptional strength and honor who could be brought into the light's path. So I feel like with the Justin realm, they are afraid of the vampires. They are disgusted by the constructs, and they see potential allies among the Fae. That's kind of the vibe I get from these guys. Yeah, and vampire probably see Justin's fictions as lowly Mongol that are blinded to faith and the gods and ignored by walls. They hide themselves in and not to knowledge of facts. Exactly. Yep. They're just so completely different. These two realms. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then let's see. And then Justin to contested. So in the contested lands, let's see. Want to bring as many humans and beastmen into the fold as possible. Crusades across this realm are frequent. Often up to and over the borders of the other three realms. And this, I guess, we'll just call it these lands are frequent, often up to and over the borders of the other three realms. All right. So, how do the vampires feel about people? All right. So, vampires to Justin. All right. Ignorant fools. Blinded by their own misguided pride and devotion. Dangerous, but stupid. Often underestimating them. Okay. All right. More of a nuisance than a threat. All right. Disgusted by the way information is twisted and abused. Nice. All right. Vampires to constructs. Okay. Useful, but disgusting neighbors. Shared passion for knowledge. Excellent source of blood. Especially during a drought. Okay. Let's see. Augmentations, somewhat popular amongst some sects of vampires. but normally as curiosities. Alright. Let's see. Vampires to Fae. Alright. Primitive, but useful allies. Let's see. The loss of the Wolf King is unfortunate. The Hag remains an unknown quantity. Quantity? There we go. Let's see. If the Wolf King could have his domain taken, so too could any domain lord. This info is both frightening and exciting. Okay. Dig it. Alright. Primitive by useful, but useful allies. Alright, and then finally, vampires. See, how they interact with each other further defines each of the areas, right? So they don't exist in like 5 separate bubbles. So by having this exercise where we kind of explore how do they interface with each other, we continue to flesh out everything that we've already built like this groundwork for. So this is very useful. All right, so vampires to contested. Let's see. An excellent source of fresh slaves and thralls. Let's see. Okay. A melting pot of cultures, and therefore stories, secrets, and knowledge. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So then we go to, let's see, Fae. So Fae to Justin. All right. Wary of their zealotry. Impressed by their dedication and resolve. Those displeased by the Hag's arrival are considering Justin as a potential ally, if only they can get past the racism and xenophobia that runs rampant amongst that culture. All right. Let's see. Red caps. Love the idea of a bloody crusade. All right. Oh yeah, we mentioned that before, but yeah, we could put that there too. So occasionally the source of a new and powerful thrall or ally. A diamond in the rough situation. Cool. Alright, so Fae to Justin, that actually seems pretty good. Fae to vampires. Alright, so let's see. Normally, under good terms, Fae and Lichen blood, not particularly tasty. Let's see. Most vamps prefer. Alright. Prefer. No, it's prefer. There we go. Language. Hard. Most vamps prefer humans to beasts and monsters. Alright. Let's see. Some Fae go to live amongst the vampires to train in arcane magics of a more formal nature. So, int casters, for example. Okay, let's see. Blood caps love the vampires. And often hire themselves out into their service. Alright. Cool. Honestly, of all the cultures, kind of seems like the Fae and the vampires are like the good guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, alright. And then we've got Fae to constructs. And I'm going to say that these guys are actually kind of opposites. Extremely opposite. The greed and consumption of the natural world and the desecration of nature's design are abhorrent. Exactly. Yeah. I feel like the blood caps they have their own, we have to list them each time because they're so much different than the other two races that make up the Fae faction. I almost feel like the blood caps would be like Pathfinder goblins almost. They'd be everywhere in every civilization, mixing it up with everybody. Blood caps hate these guys. And hate fighting these guys. Alright, greed and consumption of the natural world and the desecration of nature's design are abhorrent. Alright. Viewed as a plague, as aberrations. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. Like, and when we're positioning the map, obviously, we'll have vampires and the Justinians, right? And then we'll have the Fae, and then we'll have the constructs, like opposites. Huh? Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. Kind of excited about making a map for this. This is going to be pretty exciting. Didn't want to start making the map until I had a better idea of the flavor. But now we at least have a good idea of the layout of the map. I think it's going to look really good. Alright. And finally, Fae to the contested. Okay. Alright, so contested lands. Let's see. Okay, so the Fae are curious about the other realms, and the contested lands are an excellent place to mingle and learn about them. All right, lichens have less interest in the contested lands. Content to hunt and roam the wilds of their realm. In recent years, with the death of the Wolf King, they have begun to involve themselves with the affairs of the other realms, looking for allies and answers. And Bloodcaps love the contested lands because there is always fighting. Nice. Alright. So that brings us to constructs. Alright. Constructs to Justin. Alright. View Justin's realm as a big bank vault full of meat treasure. Would love a chance to crack them open and add them to the collective. Golem faction can view the Justice faction as parts. Yep. We're on the same page. Yep. Is disgusted by the Justinian's crutch of divine magic and faith. Hype. Okay. Let's see. Constructs to vampires. Okay. Let's see. Fellow intellectuals. But too selfish to be of any use. Competition for meat resources. The only real threat to constructs' inevitable control over all realms. That's very like Borg, you know, the whole inevitability thing. But I kind of feel like when you start getting into like a machine mindset, like that's kind of the direction that you're going. All right. Good trade partners. They always need blood. All right. And let's see. Constructs to Fae. Let's see. An excellent source of exotic and magical meats. Their realm is rich in natural resources as well. Unfortunately, they have a bestial perseverance, and are watchful for construct, scouts, and agents within or near their realm. Okay. Low-hanging fruit. Ripe for conquest. And acquisition. Alright. Yeah. They definitely treat the Fae area as sort of an industrial playground. To bring it back to, like, Warcraft again, right? Like, how the goblins interface with nature. Like, even goblin shamans, like, they create mechanical totems that basically, like, force the earth to do what they want. They don't live in harmony with nature even as, like, shamans. That would definitely be, like, the constructs to the Fae situation. Alright, constructs to contested. Yep. Versus the wild men of the Fae. Oh, I'm getting some really good visuals here of Vikings fighting steampunk, old Victorian hunters. Like, it's crazy. I'm kind of into it. Constructs to contested. Let's see. Their capitalist ways have given them a great deal of influence over the contested lands. Let's see. Only the combined efforts of Justin and Faye keep them from establishing a more dominating presence. All right. Fuck yeah. This world's really coming together here. Okay. Sweet. All right. Well, we put in 90 minutes of world building for the 4th week in a row. And man, I am getting very excited about this world. I am very scared of the construct-based faction. Like, very scared of the construct-based faction. I feel like each of them is evil, and each of them is good, sort of, in their own way. In their pursuit of their beliefs and all that. And I love how they are fitting together with each other. So this is very, very exciting. So what we'll do next week is we've kind of taken a macro view of the world. So we'll go and do a bit of a micro view of the world. We will design a settlement. Yeah, we might need a construct player race. Yeah, we might handle that on the second pass when we go back for races and we do a second pass on races. Next week we're going to do we're going to start one settlement for each realm. And that will help further develop it. So next week we will start doing actual settlements. We're only going to do settlements that we are actually going to use in the game, right? Like in the campaign, because I don't want to flesh out a bunch of shit that I'm not going to use. Oh, thank you very much. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So yeah. Then maybe we'll roll a die, see which one we do first, or we'll just, whatever seems the most interesting and exciting. But we have enough information here to go off of that we can really start fleshing out, like, a slice of life, right? Like, this settlement represents all these big ideas, but in a practical, functional way. So that's what we'll do next week. All right, I appreciate everybody's ideas and support. I've been really looking forward to these build sessions on Tuesday. It's been a lot of fun developing this world, and I can't wait to keep working on it next week. Got a lot of Foundry stuff to do this week, so tomorrow night's stream is going to be Foundry. Saturday, no. Tomorrow is going to be Foundry. Thursday is going to be Skull and Shackles. Friday is going to be more Foundry. Saturday, we got a book club thing. And then Sunday, back to, Odyssey and all that jazz. So, I guess I will see you, I'll see you next time. Oh, and Rime of the Frost Maiden tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. So, alright, see you next time.